congenital heart disease are anatomic malformation of the heart and its vessels. Of course, during your intrauterine development. Nangyayari yan usually sa first trimester. Now, the incidence are 8 out of 1,000 live births and the most common congenital malformation. Now, take note of this. 13% will have more than one cardiac defect and 25% will have associated non-cardiac deformity. Okay? Now, for the etiology, actually, there is no exact cause. It's unknown, but it's also multifactorial. It can be hereditary, chromosomal abnormality. It can also be from maternal infection, teratogenic drugs, or even maternal factors, or even your environmental factors. Okay, so there's a lot of causes. Okay, now the radiologic interpretation of congenital heart disease, these are the things that we are trying to look for, okay, and identify. How is the vascularity? Is the vascularity increased or no? Does the patient belongs to the cyanotic or non-cyanotic group? Okay. What is the specific chamber enlargement? Meron ba? Or diffuse ba yung enlargement? How is the great vessels? Are they involved or not? Okay. And what are other ancillary findings? Okay. Now, first, of course, first is your vascularity. If there is an increased vascularity, we can subdivide the two to non-cyanotic and cyanotic. For non-cyanotic, it can be, we can have a lot of differential diagnosis. It can be your AST, your VSD, your PDA, your ECD, your endocardial fusion, or your POP-BR. Okay. Now, for cyanotic, it can be TGA, POP-BR, PTA, single ventricle, and your DORV without pulmonary stenosis. Okay, in diffuse obstructive right ventricle. Okay, without pulmonary stenosis. Now, those are the differentials kapag na-identify na namin where are these diseases belong to. Okay? Next, after identifying, how about your decreased vascularity? Now, these are the diseases na papasok sa differentials namin. It can be tetralogy-FLO, Epstein anomaly, pulmonary stenosis or atresia, tricuspid atresia with pulmonary stenosis, and of course, your DORV again with pulmonary stenosis. Next, how about if there is normal vascularity? These are the two diseases na pwede natin entertain. Your coarctation of aorta and your aortic stenosis. Okay. How about naman if there is increased venous vascularity? Okay, take note of venous vascularity. Differentials can be hypoplastic left heart, pulmonary vein stenosis, and also your TAP-BR with obstruction. Okay. Now, for ventricular septal defect, first we discussed the VSD. Technically, there is a defect between the septum, separating your right and left ventricle. So kapag may defect dyan, there is a mixture of your oxygenated and non-oxygenated blood. Okay. Now, what are the findings? You can have an increased vascularity. Like for example, in this case, look at this. The vascularity here are accentuated. Pulmonary vascular markings are accentuated. Galit na galit sila. They are fully opacified. You can also the linear vascularity of the vessels itself. It can go up to the periphery level. Okay. Now the normal can be enlarged or normal in size. Now if there is an enlargement of the heart, usually it can be either or both ventricles, both left and right. And the left atrium is also included. Pwede silang lumaki. Your left atrium. Your left atrium, you will appreciate it here. Okay, there is bulging of the left atrial shadow. Okay, you will also appreciate some enlarged main of the central pulmonary arteries. That's why you have a bulging of the main pulmonary arterial shadow naman. Okay, and your aortic knob are small, contracted sila. Sobrang liit. You will not appreciate the small aortic knob. You can see my my pointer, the blue pointer. Class?
Yes, po. Yes, po.
Okay. Now, this is an example of your ventricular septal defect. Again, you have an increased vascularity. Okay. You have a bulging main pulmonary arterial shadow. You have a bulging of the left atria. Of course, you have a left ventricular enlargement. Meron tong cardiomegaly. So that is a classic presentation of your VSD. Okay. Now, for patent ductus arteriosus, no, there is a connection between your aorta and your pulmonary arteries. Okay? Commonly yan dito sa mismong junction nila. Okay? Kung saan sila. After, usually, ng the last branch of your aortic arc, which is your left subclavian. No? Do you have a connection here? The patent ductus arteriosus remains open. No? Now, what are the findings? You will have an increased vascularity, same as kanina. No? You will have accentuated pulmonary vascular markings. Look at the lines. No? Line density. It can reach up to the peripheral level. No? The heart can be normal or enlarged. And if there is some enlargement of the heart, you will appreciate some left ventricular and left atrial enlargement. Okay? And you have an enlarged main pulmonary artery. This is the shadow of the enlarged main pulmonary artery. This is very big. And also, you have a prominent aortic knob. Unlike sa VSD kanina, the aortic area is small. No? But in this case, you have a prominent aortic knob. Okay? Because of the connection between the aorta and your pulmonary arteries. Okay? Now, let's now go to your atrial septal defect. Now, for atrial septal defect, is frame ng VSD. However, ito naman is a septum between your right atrium and your left atrium. Okay, so you have a defect here, no? Mixing the blood, the oxygenated and non-oxygenated blood. Okay. Now, what are the findings? Take note. You have an increased vascularity again. Look, the vascular are accentuated. No? They are very prominent. Okay. You have a cardiomegaly. And the most prominent, the most prominence in cardiomegaly, the site, is the right atrium and the right ventricle. So you have an enlarged main central pulmonary artery. That's why there is bulging in the pulmonary window. Okay? And you have a very small aortic knob. Okay? Hindi siya masyadong bulge, no? Yung normal na curvature ng aorta. Descending aorta basically in the heart. Hindi sila prominent. They are small actually. Okay? Now, let's now go to your transposition of great arteries. Actually, from the word itself, it's very easy. Yung pulmonary, yung aorta, from the right ventricle, and your pulmonary artery is from your left ventricle. So, nagpalit sila. That's why you have a transposition of the great arteries. Okay? Now, what are the things that we are looking for in transposition of great arteries? Dito nyo ma-appreciate si egg on its side or apple on its stem. Okay? You have an increased vascularity, you have a cardiomegaly, and you have a very narrow vascular pedicle. Now, Doc, what is narrow vascular pedicle? This is the area of the vascular pedicle that we are being assessed, no? Na ina-assess namin. Now, the persistent truncus arteriosus, okay? Increased vascularity. Look at the vascular. They are galit na galit. Okay? They're accentuated. The pulmonary venous congestion or edema is frequent in type 1 because in persistent truncus arteriosus, you have 3 types. I will discuss that later. You have a cardiomegaly. If there is prominence, it can be either or both ventricles, the left and the right, and the left atrium itself. They can also have a concave main pulmonary artery segment, which is prominent in type 1. Okay? Look at this. Look at other diseases. In this particular portion, sa ibang diseases, the pulmonary artery are accentuated. No? They are convex, no? Prominent na prominent. But in this case, concave sila. Okay? So, maliit. Okay? Now, for persistent truncus arteriosus, there is a wide mediastinum due to large aortic shadow. Look at this. From here, going here, we measure this, the distance between this. Okay? And the aortic arc is 35%. Look at this. The aortic arc is, you can see the part of aortic arc in this portion, okay, the shadow, and in this one. Okay, nagra-right, napunta sa right. That's why it's called right aortic arc. Okay. Now we have, like what I've said kanina, we have 3 types of total anomalous pulmonary venous return. No? This is your normal heart. Okay. Type 1 is supracardiac, basically. No? Look at this, the connection from the pulmonary artery, connection to the superior vena cava. Okay. Type 2 basically is the intracardiac. The intracardiac is main pulmonary artery going to mismo dun sa right atrium. Type 3 basically is your infracardiac from the word itself. The connection is below the heart. That's why it's called infracardiac. Dun sa mismong pwedeng inferior vena cava or pwedeng hepatic vessels. Okay. Now, this is the types. Okay. Total anomalous pulmonary venous return or the type 1. Increased vascularity, Okay. You will have a cardiomegaly. The chamber prominence can be your right atrium and right ventricle, and you will appreciate the snowman sign. Okay, when you said the snowman sign, usually that is top BR. Okay, an enlarged systemic vein into which drainage occurs. Okay, now this is your type 1, supracardiac. Okay, left-sided vertical vein connects pulmonary venous confluence to the left innominate vein, or it can also be connected to the right superior vena cava or even in a azygous vein. That's why you have a snowman appearance in type 1. Okay. Now in type 2, the intracardiac, okay, connects to the right atrium or even to the coronary sinus. Okay. And type 3, you have your infracardiac. There is an abnormal connection, okay, below the diaphragm or to the portal vein, ductus venosus, or even the hepatic vessels or hepatic vein. You will appreciate some pulmonary edema. The heart can be normal in size. Unlike dun sa type 1, you have an enlarged heart, no? Kaya meron kang snowman appearance. But in type 3, you have a normal sized heart. No? There is prominence of the right atrium and less often the right ventricle. Okay. Now, there is also what we call the mixed type. The mixed type is, of course, the mixed type of the three. Pwedeng 2. Pwedeng yung type 1 may kasamang type 3. Or yung type 1 may kasamang type 2. Or yung type 3 may kasamang type 2. No? And pwede silang tatlo magkakasama din. Type 1, type 2, type 3. Okay? With various connections to the right side of the heart. Look at this, everyone. There is no more normal vascularity, no, connections. Yung cardiac anatomy. Okay, so wala na ng vascular niya. Mixed type na yan. Yung mga ganyan, kailangan na ng surgical intervention. The patient will not live long. Okay. Now, let's now go to your tetralogy of Fallot. For tetralogy of Fallot are composed of different parts. No? In tetralogy of Fallot, you will appreciate a very wide ventricular septal defect. Take note of that. Huh? Very wide septal defect. You have a pulmonary stenosis, like in this case, no, narrow the pulmonary stenosis. You have a right ventricular hypertrophy. Okay? And you have the overriding of the aorta. Ibig sabihin, yung aorta nyo, hindi lang siya nasa may left ventricle, but also your aorta is just above, nakapatong lang almost siya dun sa mismong VSD or sa mismong ventricular septal defect portion. Okay? That's why it's called overriding of the aorta. Okay? Now, for tetralogy of Fallot, of course, doon na tayo sa decreased vascularity diseases. No? You have a decreased vascularity. The heart can be normal in size or can be large. No? Dito nyo ma-appreciate in tetralogy of Fallot, the boot-shaped heart. Okay? And also the right ventricular prominence. You also have a concave, okay, pulmonary artery segment. You also have a prominent aorta. Like in this case, look at this. The ascending aorta is prominent. No? Medyo nagra-right side siya. That's why it's called the right aortic arch. Okay? That one. You can see it here. Okay? Yan yung tetralogy of Fallot natin. Now, let's now go to your pulmonary stenosis. In pulmonary stenosis, you have a normal to decreased vascularity. Pwedeng normal, pwedeng decreased vascularity. The heart can also be normal or enlarged. And if there is some enlargement, usually right ventricular prominence yung involved. Okay? And there is a post-stenotic dilatation of the main pulmonary artery. Like in this case, no? The main pulmonary artery are prominent. No? Yung shadow niya are dilated. Now, we have what we call the Epstein anomaly. Of course, belong pa rin siya sa decreased vascularity. You have a marked cardiomegaly, sobrang laki. There is a right atrial prominence in this case, okay? And this is what you call the balloon or box-shaped heart. That is very important. Tinatanong yan sa inyo, okay? Especially the signs and x-rays. Yun ang mahalaga sa amin as radiologists, okay? Now, for aortic stenosis, the vascular can be normal. Doon naman tayo sa mga normal vascularity. First is your aortic stenosis. The patient can also have cardiomegaly. And if there is, left ventricular prominence yung nakikita namin. Like in this sign, you have a left ventricular enlargement. No? If you try to read the first part ng lecture, no, yung asynchronous, doon yung mababasa yung SHMU sign of the left ventricular prominence or dilated left ventricle. And you have a dilated ascending aorta. Okay? Look at this. This is the ascending aorta. No? Dilated siya. Kitang-kita. Prominent na. Prominent. Now, for coarctation of aorta, of course, may narrowed lang. There is narrowing of the proximal part ng descending aorta, just adjacent after your last branch of the aortic arch, which is your left subclavian. Okay, now there is a coarctation of aorta. This is how it looks like in X-ray. You have a normal vascularity, you have a cardiomegaly, and you have a left ventricular prominence, like in this one, and you have what we call the tree sign. Okay, this is the tree sign. If you will try to imagine, that is your tree sign. Number 3 siya. That is a sign na meron kang coarctation of aorta. We can see that in X-ray plainly. Now, there is what we call the rib notching. Your rib notching is affect the cause, no? The result of the coarctation of aorta. There is a compensation of the tributaries or the yung branches of your aorta. Because your vascular, yung vessel na dumadaan sa rib, is located underneath or inferior to the border of your rib. Diyan kasi yung vascular nila. So there is a rib notching na ma-appreciate ninyo. So pag tinanong kayo, saan nyo nakikita, where can you appreciate the rib notching? Of course, you can appreciate the rib notching in coarctation of aorta. Now, let's now go to your cardiac imaging. First is your valvular heart diseases. If you said valvular heart diseases, we have different. You have your mitral valve, you have your tricuspid valve, you have your aortic valve, and you have your pulmonic valve, basically. Okay? I know you are all familiar with this one. Okay, but first, let's now go to your mitral stenosis. Your mitral stenosis are normal to slightly enlarged heart. Okay, if there is an enlargement, there is chamber prominence. Okay, your left atrium and your left atrium. Okay, and your right ventricle. Okay, your left atrium. Look at this. No? Prominent yung left atrial shadow ninyo. Okay. There can be an equalization or cephalization of the pulmonary blood flow. There can be a prominent main pulmonary artery segment, and you have a very small aorta, like in this case. Okay? Now, what is the difference between mitral regurgitation? In mitral regurgitation, you have a cardiomegaly. Huh? Unlike sa mitral stenosis, pwedeng normal ang heart or to slightly enlarge. Okay, but in mitral regurgitation, you have a cardiomegaly. Now, the chamber prominence can be a left atrium and left ventricle. Now, for left atrium, the mitral valve regurgitation is more prominent in mitral stenosis. And in pulmonary venous congestion, your mitral regurgitation is less than or mas prominent ang mitral stenosis. Take note of this slide. And you have a very small aorta. Okay? Now, for aortic stenosis, you have a normal sized heart or mild cardiomegaly. Okay? You have a left ventricular hypertrophy. Okay? You can have a pulmonary venous hypertension. Pwedeng meron, pwedeng wala. And the dilated ascending aorta. Pwedeng meron and pwede rin walang calcification. Like in this case, your aorta. Okay? Pwedeng walang atheromatous aorta or pwede rin meron. Okay? Look at this. Prominent ang dilated ang ascending aorta in this case. In lateral view. Okay? Now, for aortic regurgitation, you have a cardiomegaly. In this case, you have left ventricular enlargement. You have a dilated aorta and aortic arc. Now look at this. Dilated ascending and aortic arc. And you have a normal pulmonary vascularity in aortic regurgitation. Okay? Now, in tricuspid valve disease, there is right atrial enlargement. That is very important in tricuspid valve, of course, because in tricuspid valve, the one that's being involved is your right atrium and right ventricle. But in this case, you have a right atrial enlargement. Now, the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava can be involved or not involved. But in this case, hindi sila involved. No? The superior vena cava, dito niya makikita. The inferior vena cava, dito makikita. Okay? So, yan yun. Okay? Now, our next topic will be pulmonary vascular markings. Mag-break muna tayo for 5 minutes before we proceed to the next presentation. Okay, class?
Okay po, Doc.
Okay, sige. Break lang tayo for 5 minutes, yeah? Okay. let's proceed to the last topic. Okay. Your pulmonary vascular diseases. Okay, screen share lang ako ha. Okay, nakikita niyo yung sinishare ko sa screen? Kita?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Now, for pulmonary vascular diseases, okay, this will be your last topic for the whole finals, no? I-heads up ko lang kayo, for pulmonary vascular system or diseases, the one that's being involved, of course, is your vascular within your pulmonary system. Okay? Basically, they are all look the same, okay? But one clue that helps us to diagnose and to have a differential is with the use of your clinical history and the clinical presentation or the signs and symptoms of the patient. But basically, it's very hard. No? There's a lot of causes technically, and the images are almost look the same. No? Meron lang kaunting differences, but they are all look the same per se. Okay, especially in your level, medyo mahirap. But I know by having this lecture, you will have an idea somehow at some point. Okay. Now, this is an example of a case, no? Came to the ER, a 54-year-old male with a sudden onset of difficulty of breathing. Okay. There is no cough, okay, no fever. So basically, wala ka halos, hindi ka mag-i-entertain ng infection. For ECG, you have atrial fibrillation, and your chest X-ray reveals this one. Okay. So if you will notice in this particular region, okay, you have merong gulo-gulo. No? The vasculars are accentuated or they are very prominent, both left and right. You have some densities, no? Linear densities in both lower lobes. Okay. But again, this is not infection per se. So what are these densities? Okay. Now ito yung ating discussion this afternoon. Okay. Now, first is your pulmonary edema. Okay. Now, under normal conditions, the interstitial space of the lung is kept dry by pulmonary lymphatics, which is located within the axial and peripheral interstitium. Now, when the rate of fluid accumulation in the interstitium exceeds the lymphatic drainage capabilities of the lung, fluid accumulates first in the interstitial space. Okay? Doon siya pumupunta. As the amount of extravascular fluid increases, fluid accumulates in the corners of the alveolar spaces, which is as well nasa interstitium niya pa rin. And progressive fluid accumulation, there is flooding of the alveolar spaces. Now, the air space pulmonary edema ang result niya. Okay? Now, there is accumulation of fluid in the interstitial level. And once nag-accumulate in the interstitial level and the interstitium or the lymphatics cannot compensate with the aggressiveness of different pathology, whatever that is, it will leak in the alveolar spaces, leading to an airspace pulmonary edema. Okay. Now, there are three basic mechanisms of your pulmonary edema. First is a change in normal Starling forces that govern fluid movement in the lung. Next is obstruction or absence of normal pulmonary lymphatics, of course. Third is your disorders that injure the epithelium of the capillaries and alveoli, which increases the permeability of the capillary. I know that this has been discussed then in pathophysiology, in your other classes, but these are the three basic mechanisms of your pulmonary edema. Now, we have two kinds. No? We have interstitial pulmonary edema, and we have airspace pulmonary edema. Now, let's first discuss your interstitial pulmonary edema. There is thickening of the components of the interstitial spaces by the fluid. There is also thickening of the axial interstitium, loss of definition of the intrapulmonary vascular markings. That's why you will have a peribronchial capping, or what we call the trunk tracking. I will show it to you later. Now, if there is edema within the alveolar septa, you will have an appearance of ground glass opacities. Okay. Now, if the being involved is the peripheral and subpleural interstitial structures, you will appreciate the curly lines, especially the curly B lines, and the subpleural edema. Okay. Now, for curly lines, we have different kinds. No? We have curly A, curly B, and curly C. Now, for curly A lines, it represents thickening of the central connective tissue. For curly B, you have your peripheral interlobular tissue. And for curly C, you have thickening of the interlobular septa. So take note of the difference between the three. Okay? And next is your subpleural edema, which is the accumulation of fluid within the innermost interstitial layer of the visceral pleura, which is best seen on lateral view as thickening of the interlobal fissures. Okay? Take note of that. So this is an example of your curly B lines of the peripheral interlobular interstitium. Okay? You have a linear densities seen in the periphery. That is your curly B lines. Okay? So again, you will appreciate it here more clearly. I will zoom it in. No? So that is your linear. I hope you can see. Very faint na lang. The curly B lines. Okay? And the curly A lines, basically, you will appreciate it in the periphery, centrally located. Okay? Very faint lang. That one, like for example, this one. Okay? This one. Okay? So those are your curly A lines. In this case, this is your curly A lines. Okay? Again, another example, your curly B lines. If I will zoom this area, this is what it looks like, your curly B lines in the peripheral region. Okay? Your curly A lines, these are your curly A lines. Pero most important are your curly B lines. Okay? Again, look at this. This is your curly, this one, periphery, part of curly B lines. Okay? This one, medyo centrally located, that is your curly A line. And this one. Okay? Now, we have what we call the tram tracking. Since there is a thickening in the interstitium, you will appreciate, since sa gitna is your bronchioles. Okay? Since there is thickening of the interstitium, you will appreciate the tram tracking appearance of the airspace, okay, of the bronchioles. Okay? This is what it looks like, tram tracking appearance. Okay? Again, curly B lines. You will appreciate it there. Okay? Now, for peribronchial coughing, this is how it looks like. Same with the tram tracking appearance. However, the bronchioles is towards you, no? It nakaharap sa'yo. So if there is thickening of the peribronchial region, you will appreciate this one. There is thickening of the surrounding area of the bronchioles because air sa X-ray are black, basically. So surrounding is the interstitium. That is your peribronchial coughing. Now, after few days of treatment, no? October 14, look at this. The thinning, meron ng thinning ng interstitium with the right management and follow-up. Okay? That is your peribronchial coughing. Now, for subpleural edema, this is how it looks like. It's best seen in lateral view. An example of your subpleural edema. And on AP view, this is your subpleural edema. Okay? There is thickening, okay, of your subpleural interstitial level. Okay? Now, for airspace edema, it occurs when fluid from the interstitium spills into the alveoli. So, nasa alveolar space na siya. An upright radiograph shows bilateral symmetrical airspace opacities, which is predominantly in the mid to lower lobes. And for airspace nodules and its findings of interstitial edema, of course, you will appreciate your curly B lines and your subpleural edema are usually present peripherally. Okay? Now, this is how it looks like kapag meron ka ng airspace edema. So, look at this closely. No? Tingnan, homogeneous na siya. It's evenly distributed, both left and right lung. It's evenly scattered because of the edema or the fluid accumulation is within the air spaces itself na. Wala na siya sa mismong interstitium. Okay? Now, for pulmonary edema, there are two that is being appreciated. Na? The hydrostatic pulmonary edema, which have your normal capillary permeability, and you have your increased capillary permeability edema. Okay? Now, for vascular pedicle, bordered on the right by the superior vena cava and on the left by the left subclavian artery. Take note, we measure the vascular pedicle by this one. Okay? A line from the right superior vena cava and a line from the left subclavian artery origin. Now, the mean measurement, the mean width, okay, the normal width is 38 to 58 millimeter in diameter on chest PA radiograph. Now we have, meron tayong tinatawag na normal vascular pedicle width, merong widened vascular pedicle width, and we have narrowed vascular pedicle width. With the normal vascular pedicle width, we have different pathology. It can be a capillary permeability problem or acute cardiac failure. Now, in widened, it can be overhydration, renal failure, or even chronic cardiac failure. Now, in narrowed, can be a capillary permeability as well. Okay. Now, how do we measure this? Again, sa right side ng superior vena cava, and dun sa left side, of course, of the border of the left subclavian artery. Now, we measure this. The normal width again is 38 to 58 millimeter. Okay. This is how it looks like. Okay. A line, an imaginary line from here, going here. Okay. A line from here, going here. Okay. So look at the difference between the two. The initial X-ray, if you will see, no? If I will demo it to you, the line from here, going here, okay? Medyo malayo, medyo wide. Compared to this one, going here, medyo nag-narrow na siya. With the right follow-ups and with the right management. Okay. Now, let's now go to your hydrostatic pulmonary edema. Your hydrostatic pulmonary edema is the most common form of pulmonary edema, usually caused by an elevation in the pulmonary venous pressure or your pulmonary venous hypertension. Let's talk about your pulmonary venous hypertension. Okay? Kasi meron tayong pulmonary arterial hypertension din. But in this case, is pulmonary venous hypertension. This is a classic cause of your left ventricular systolic failure. But renal failure and a variety of cardiac and non-cardiac abnormalities have the same physiology. So basically, marami. However, the classic cause is your left ventricular systolic failure. Okay? Now, there are four major categories. Can be obstruction to the left ventricular inflow. It can be left ventricular systolic dysfunction, like in your liver, in your left ventricular failure. You have your mitral valve regurgitation, and you have your systemic or pulmonary volume overload. Okay? Now, the classic cause for obstruction to the left ventricular inflow is your mitral stenosis. Take note of that. Okay? And obstruction of the central pulmonary veins from tumors, fibrosing mediastinitis, or even in pulmonary vein thrombosis may also be associated with radiographic findings of pulmonary venous hypertension. So marami talaga yan. No? Papakita ko sa inyo, ma'am. One common cause of left ventricular failure is your ischemic heart disease, aortic valve stenosis and regurgitation, and ischemic cardiomyopathy. And some severe mitral valve regurgitation can cause PVH as well, no? Directly by elevating the left atrial pressure or secondarily by causing your left ventricular failure. Okay. Now, for acute pulmonary volume overload, they are relatively common basically, no? But most frequently due to iatrogenic overhydration. Sometimes we are the cause, the clinician are the cause, no? Na overhydrate natin yung patient, no? Overfluid hydrate. Now, patients with acute and chronic renal failure may also develop pulmonary edema because of increased pulmonary capillary hydrostatic pressure caused by a combination of hypervolemia or with left ventricular dysfunction. Okay? Now, are you still there, class? Are you still with me?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Now, what are the classic radiographic findings for pulmonary venous hypertension? You have an enlargement of the pulmonary veins, of course. Accentuated sila, galit na galit sila, they're engorged. And there is redistribution of pulmonary blood flow to the, where? Non-dependent lung zones. Okay? Now, this is how it looks like. Your pulmonary vascular markings are accentuated. They are very, very prominent. Look at the lines, okay? The vascular lines. It can go up to the peripheral level, okay? And there are some areas where the fluid are accumulating in the air spaces itself. Can lead to a pulmonary edema. Can also lead to consolidation, basically. Okay? Again, look at this. The vascular are very prominent. The lines of vascular vessels, the vessels are umaabot sa periphery, which is normally dapat hindi. Okay? Now, Look at this. There's a lot of causes like yung sinasabi ko kanina. A lot of causes of pulmonary venous hypertension. But the one thing that can help us to identify, no, is of course for the clinical history and clinical presentation of the patient, the signs and symptoms. Sasabihin lang namin na pulmonary congestion. We can say that. But there's a lot of causes. It's up to the clinician how are she or he going to address the issue on how he or she will going to manage the patient. For left ventricular systolic dysfunctions, there's a lot of causes. For obstruction to left ventricular inflow, same, a lot of causes. For mitral regurgitation, see, everyone, there's a lot, okay? Even for systemic pulmonary volume overload, you have 3. Pwedeng overhydration, it can be renal failure, or ventricular septal rupture, okay? For pulmonary venous obstruction, central pulmonary veins, there's a lot. There are some few. No? And intrapulmonary veins, of course, your pulmonary veno-occlusive disease. Actually, in this area, marami pa rin under ng veno-occlusive disease. Okay? Can be atherus, can be embolus, can be thrombus. Okay? Now, let us now go to your increased capillary permeability edema. Okay? There is rapidly progressive respiratory compromise caused by leakage of protein-rich edema fluid into the lung, resulting from damage to the pulmonary microcirculation, which may develop complication of a variety of systemic conditions. Now, if there is no management, okay, or the patient is masyadong nag-toxic, no? Even though minamanage mo na, because of increased capillary permeability edema, it can lead to an acute respiratory distress syndrome. This is very fatal. Okay? Now, in ARDS, there is a lung injury or increased capillary permeability edema. That is what's going on there. Now, what are the causes? There are a lot. There's a lot, no? Shock, most common disorder associated with increased capillary permeability or shock, severe trauma, burn, sepsis, even narcotic overdose, and even your pancreatitis. Okay? Now, what are the radiographic findings? There can be a patchy peripheral airspace opacity. Patch-patch siya along the periphery, okay, of the X-ray. No? It can be done in 12 to 24 hours following the onset of dyspnea. Okay? On CT scan, it can show a diffuse ground glass or even airspace opacities, which may have a striking non-dependent distribution. Okay? The opacities coalesce over the next several days to produce confluent bilateral airspace opacities with air bronchogram. Okay? And there is also an interlobular septa. Thickening is usually, take note, absent. Okay? Now, look at this, everyone. Here's an example of your increased capillary permeability. You have a ground glass opacities. There are patchy opacities basically scattered all over the lung field. So see, halos nagbavaricize, no, of the patch hazy densities. That is your ARDS. ARDS can lead to death. No? Look at this. You have a patchy and also a ground glass opacities along the periphery of the lung. Look at this. Okay, you will appreciate it here. And also you will appreciate it here. Here as well. Okay. Also here, no? In the periphery, you have the patchy densities along the periphery. This is an example of your HL CT scan of the lung. Okay. Now, we have what we call the re-expansion pulmonary edema. No? In re-expansion pulmonary edema, what's important here is the unilateral pulmonary edema. Unilateral, not bilateral. Why? It is caused from a rapid expansion of a lung following severe pneumothorax or collapsed lung from the atelectasis from a large pleural effusion present more than 48 hours and which may result to your unilateral pulmonary edema. This is how it looks like. You have a unilateral pulmonary edema. Yan siya. Okay? Nagre-expansion, rapid re-expansion. And also in this one, status post pigtail insertion. Okay? Nagre-expand sila. That's why you have a pulmonary edema in this particular area. In this case, in your left upper lobe. Okay? Now, we have what we call the pulmonary hemorrhage. No? Hemorrhagic edema of the lung, there's a lot of reasons. So there's a lot of causes. First, Can be from trauma, from bleeding diastasis, no? It can also be from infection, even from drugs, even for pulmonary embolism or fat embolism. It can also lead from, of course, from ARDS, no? Acute respiratory distress syndrome, and even in your autoimmune diseases. Now, in case of autoimmune diseases, these are the autoimmune diseases that can lead to pulmonary hemorrhage. You have your Goodpasture syndrome, your idiopathic pulmonary hemorrhage, or your Wegener granulomatosis. Your SLE can also present with pulmonary hemorrhage, and your rheumatoid arthritis and your polyarteritis nodosa. Okay? Now, one example is your Goodpasture syndrome. It characterized by damage to the alveolar and renal glomerular basement. There are different organs that being involved. That's why it's called syndrome, involving your cytotoxic antibody, and most commonly affect what? Your young adult men. Now, what are the presentation? Look at this, everyone. The presentations are very generic. Patient can have cough, hemoptysis, dyspnea, and fatigue. No, pwedeng ganyan din ang presentation ng TB. So basically, no? And in chest X-ray, you have a bilateral coalescent airspace opacities, indistinguishable from pulmonary edema. And in CT scan, you have a ground glass and airspace opacities without interlobular septal thickening. Okay. Now, this is how it looks like. See? It's very hard. Paukalan din siyang unilateral expansion of the lung, no? But with the use of good clinical history and good physical examination with good data ng sign and symptoms, we can come up with a good diagnosis as well. Okay. Now, we have what we call the pulmonary arterial hypertension. So tapos na tayo sa pulmonary venous hypertension. Let's now go to your pulmonary arterial hypertension. This is defined as a systolic pressure in the pulmonary artery at 30 mmHg. There's an enlarged main and hilar pulmonary arteries that taper rapidly toward the lung periphery. Okay, can be associated with right ventricular enlargement. And the usual measurement for enlargement of central pulmonary arteries is using your transverse diameter of the proximal interlobar pulmonary artery. So ito yung mini-measure natin, the proximal interlobar pulmonary artery on PA view, na dapat siya is 16 millimeter. Okay? Look at this. Kapag more than 16 millimeter yung size, you will have a pulmonary arterial hypertension. So ang normal dapat ay less than 16 millimeter or 1.6 centimeter. Now, there's enlargement of the central pulmonary arteries, which is seen in conditions associated with increased flow to the pulmonary circulations. This occurs in patients with high cardiac output, such as yung may mga anemia, yung may mga thyrotoxicosis, or those with left to right shunts. Okay? There's a lot of causes na rin. So this is your right pulmonary artery, okay, the interlobar, okay, and yung mini-measure natin. How do we measure this? By this one, okay? The enlarged pulmonary artery, the transverse diameter of the proximal interlobar pulmonary artery, dapat within 16 millimeters siya. Now, once the measurement of this one is more than 16, we can consider an pulmonary arterial hypertension. Dapat less than 16 millimeters siya or less than 1.6 centimeters. Okay? Now, another example, look at this. If we measure this, I think this is normal, no? This is normal per se. But unlike this, look at this. This is enlarged. If you will measure from here, okay? It can be belong within the 16 millimeter, no? Baka less than 16 millimeter to, basically. But in this one, look at this. Do you think this is within? No. Compared to this one, this is probably more than 16 millimeters. Okay, that is what it looks like. If so happen a patient is merong pulmonary arterial hypertension. Okay. Now another example is this one. Look, it's very wide. That is more than 16 millimeters. Okay. Look at this one. But in this case, mini-measure lang natin ang interlobar proximal artery in PA view. Okay? Hindi sa lateral view. Okay? Now, for pulmonary arterial hypertension, there's a lot of causes. You can have an increased resistance to pulmonary blood flow, which can be from your emphysema, chronic hypoventilation, cystic lung disease, or even in your constrictive bronchiolitis or cystic fibrosis. Okay, so there's a lot of causes per se. Okay, now, do you have any question, class? Meron ba kayo natutunan from me? Or any clarification? I will now open the table if you have any concern or clarification. Do you have, class?
None po, Doc. Wala naman po, Doc.
Okay, sige. So, if none, next week will be your rest week. Okay, actually your review week before your final examination. So you are all second years na. And good luck sa final exam ninyo for the final topics. No? Good luck. Wish you God bless. No? Hopefully to see you everyone in second semester. No? Kapag natuloy yung face-to-face natin. Okay? So,